Hello again. Now let's take you back to this story. The Presidential Climate Commission holding its quarterly meeting in Johannesburg today, where a report about the decommissioning of the Komati Power Station was received. Siphamandla Goge monitored this gathering. He's joining us now just to give us an update this hour about how this meeting went out. Good afternoon, Ncome. Thanks for joining us this hour. Just take us through the gist of this report about the decommissioning of the Komati Power Station.
Well, the report looks at the impact, socio-economic impact that has been caused by the decommissioning of the Komati power plant. Remember that there was funding that was received to repurpose that power plant to take it into becoming, a hub of green or renewable energy. So what is currently happening is the fact that the Presidential Climate Commission was meeting during its quarterly meeting ahead of the climate change conference COP28 that will take place in the United Arab Emirates in Dubai later this year. So during their quarterly meeting, they discussed a number of issues that have got to do with the country's position and response when it comes to climate change, issues of mitigation, adaptation, climate finance, but most importantly, one of the most important agenda items during their meeting was that report, the Komati Power Plant Project Report. It simply says things were not done in a manner that they ought to have been done. One of those concerns is the fact that there was not much public consultation and public engagement. And now that is very serious if you take into account that a number of communities in and around Komati depend on that power plant for their economic opportunities. There are people who were working there. There are others within the community who had business interests because of that power plant. Now, with it being shut down, it was going to be shut down anyway. That's the whole point. But at the center of unhappiness is the fact that it appears that not much public consultation was done. Community members in and around Komati only found out when the process was already underway. Now, the report says that was an error of judgment and that needs to be corrected. Simply put, it was not a just transition process because it left behind community members. You would know that the payoff line for the South African government when it comes to this just energy transition, they are saying no one should be left behind. But in this case, the only case study that exists in South Africa for now has indeed proven that people were left behind. Take a listen to some of the key findings of that report and the recommendations that were presented by one of the commissioners of the Presidential Climate Commission.
The first important thing, as you said, is the level of consultation that took place prior to the closure of the power station. It's clear that there wasn't enough consultation and that workers and community members were not given enough time to actually influence the decisions that were made about the power station. A link to that is the issue of sequencing, that you want to start your repurposing projects and your new businesses, etc., that can employ people before you shut down the power station, new training courses happening before you shut down the power station. Thirdly, that there must be clear and consistent messaging around the reasons for the closure. In the case of Komati, we know that it came to the end of its life and it was no longer financially viable to continue running that plant. Of course, a lot of financing will be required to support, the repurposing, but also things like local economic development in the region, in the area of Komati, but also beyond. And then community development. The people in Komati told us very clearly that there were specific things that they wanted to happen there, including, providing better basic services, etc., to them in that area.
Siphamandla, how has this report been received?
Mixed emotions and reaction, if we can call it like that. The general consensus within the Presidential Climate Commission is that, yes, indeed, this report is very important. However, it paints a bleak picture if you take into account that the most basic thing of community and public participation and engagement did not take place. So the report had to be adopted. It's a draft report. It's not a final report. Allow me to stress that point. What will happen now is that report will have to go back to all stakeholders, including ESCOM. I tried to get some reaction from the chairperson of the board, Mr. Mpo, who told me that, well, silence is golden. He did not want to comment on that report for now. But simply put, you would understand that it does not paint a good picture about Eskom and the way that the process was undertaken. So Eskom has decided to say they will not be commenting on this for now. It will be going back to community members in Komati, labor as well, including business, together with government and local government sphere, because a number of municipalities in Mpumalanga and around Komati, including Steve Tshwete, will be affected by what is going on. So the report has been received and accepted, but there is some unhappiness, and some of the commissioners spoke openly about their disappointment, and one of those is going to tell us why he feels that this report needs a lot of work and it has to go back, or rather to the community members to decide on the way forward. Let's take a listen to Commissioner Chabalala.
The power station has been closed, 1,000 megawatt has been lost, nothing done to basically get that megawatt back. Not even the training projects which Eskom has been talking about has started. Now, those were some of the findings of the PCC, but the other things that we also discovered there is that communities, trade unions there are telling us that, no, look, there was no consultation at all, right? Community members, leaders of communities took us on a walkabout, just to look at the areas which in their view were supposed, as a community should have benefited, and they did not. A stone throw from the fence of Komati, there's communities there who are staying in shacks. Those communities don't have water. They rely on trucks every morning and every afternoon. Now, you can't talk about a just transition when we have a situation like that in Komati.
Thank you very much there from that update about this report into the decommissioning of the Komati Power Station from our senior reporter, Siphamandla Goge. Now, it's